everybody. Welcome back to Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. We are talking today about Season 2, Episode 2, The Circle. We are in Part 2 of a 3-part series. Mike, how's it going?
Keith, it's going great. The second part of any 3-part series, we all know the middle part of that trilogy is the best part. It's when things get dark. It's when we don't know if we're going to make it through and see the other side, much like the start of every podcast we do. But I'm excited to be here for The Circle and glorious 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
We are...
wait for our computers to crash again.
I smell the smoke as we talk already.
That's it.
That's
okay.
it. That's all I've got. That's all I've got.
So here's the question, because the circle ends in a pretty big to be continued. Were you able to restrain yourself from continuing on?
Yeah, absolutely. I knew that.
Right.
I was excited about the conversation. I knew that we would have all the time in the world to talk about it, and the next week we'll bring the stunning conclusion.
All right. Well, I think that speaks to a level of professionalism we have yet to demonstrate on the show.
Or laziness.
Well, that too. Well, folks, speaking of people who are more professional and less lazy than us, let us thank our patrons, who you can find at patreon.com/K&M. Spell out that and. You get all sorts of fun bonus materials, including watching Mike watch The Circle. So if you want to stop this right now, join the patron, then go and watch Mike watch The Circle. You can watch his face as he watches the episode. You can watch the episode while you watch his face and see all of it happen right there in front of you. It's pretty, like I've said before, it is oddly entertaining. Mike, who are our patrons this week?
Keith, as always, we welcome to the clan Brian Kaufman, Casey Clark, Cloudlover69, Jorge Novoa, and the mysterious Alan Zimmerman, CRM Productions, and Charles Babbage. Thanks for being part of the team. You can join them once again at patreon.com/K&M. Spell out that and.
Yes, indeed. This week we released Star Trek: The Wrath of Niner. That is what you get to watch. That's perfect. That is exactly, if you join the Patreon and watch Mike watch Deep Space Nine, this is what you can see. So you don't want to miss that.
Keith, I've entitled this week's episode of Mike Watches Deep Space Nine, and in turn this review, as It's Getting You Making Me Bajorny. Is that okay? Can I say it?
Mike, it's 11:22 in the morning.
It could be 11:22 p.m. for our viewers. You don't know.
But for me, I'm speaking of my own experience. It's only 11 o'clock in the morning. It's a Saturday morning. It's a beautiful day. All right. Well, anyway, so check out Star Trek: The Wrath of Niner in your feed.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. This time.
The fan film I made in 1992 in my basement with my little brother. It's finally available to everyone out there because we hit our 500 subscribers. Very exciting. You can do us a favor if you haven't already. Join the legion of 500 subscribers and subscribe to our channel. Get all of our nonsense. You can also leave us a like, even if you already are subscribed, and comment below. Like the best part of the show is the conversation that we have with you. So I think we should talk about this episode, shall we, Mike?
Let's do it.
All right. So this episode is Deep Space Nine, Season 2, Episode 2, The Circle. And it aired on October 3rd, 1993, coming up on Halloween. Then I was very excited. October 1993 was my favorite NFL football season.
Okay.
Of my life. I'm a New York Football Giants fan and a Phil Simms obsessive. It was his last season. Had a terrific comeback season, and so I remember every game of the 93 season for reasons I do not understand. But we were listening to I can't wait to hear the flawless rendition we're going to get of Dream Lover, Mariah Carey's Dream Lover, while Mike figures out his exposure. He's gonna figure out his exposure and sing some Mariah Carey at the same time.
There we go. That's much better. What is it? Dream Lover again?
Dream Lover again.
Dream Lover. Guys, my exposure is really bad. I look very bad on TV, and I'm sounding even worse. Please, cut it. Cut my feed. Cut my feed.
Thank you very much for that. That's a thing that we all now have, perhaps as your ringtone. So just clip it out, make it your ringtone. I think that's a winner. The top movie was Malice.
Ooh.
Do you remember Malice?
Give me some stars. Who else was in that?
It's an Alec Baldwin, Nicole Kidman film.
Okay.
Written, interestingly, and I was surprised by this, written by Aaron Sorkin.
Oh, yeah?
A pre-West Wing Aaron Sorkin wrote Malice. So I'm very curious. I don't remember if I've seen this movie. I probably haven't since the 90s, but I don't know. That's a good combo. I'd love to see what Aaron Sorkin was working on in 1993. The New York Times headline talks about trouble in Russia. Again, riot in Moscow amid new calls for compromise. So glad Russia has sorted out their business as well as we have sorted out ours here in this country. This episode was directed by Corey Allen, who last directed Captive Pursuit, which was one that I enjoyed. This episode was written by Peter Allen Fields, who wrote Duet. Yes.
Okay, great. Solid.
100% in. With Robert Hewitt Wolfe, who wrote on In the Hands of the Prophets, also a good episode, as the story editor. So now, I think it's time for some trivial trivia, Mike.
We should absolutely do that.
Now, Keith, waste your time with trivial trivia. Okay. Got some, I was going to say fun stuff, but just some stuff. I got some stuff for you this week. In the scene in Kira's quarters, where everyone comes to say goodbye, that scene was actually shot in one continuous take. But in editing, they intercut a bunch of close-ups and reverse angles. But I sincerely wish they had just shown us that one single take, because it's a really funny little like drawing room farce a little bit. It's like a play.
Yeah, I pointed that out as well. I felt like that was them giving us, it almost felt like a pastiche of typical 90s sitcom fodder of the day. The back and forth, the sort of getting them all in the wide shot, and then the over-the-shoulder cutting. I thought it was very much that vibe, and it definitely felt like they were playing with tone and that it was purposeful, and which made it that much more funny, I thought.
And it seemed like the actors were playing. Yes. I think the actors really enjoyed the challenge of doing that all in one take. I wish we'd seen it.
Yeah.
So
I also felt like it felt oddly earned. Like the cast has developed such a rapport with one another, and that they earned that sort of repartee, and that we would buy it. It was much more effective than some of the other comedic beats we've tried in episodes, such as the one with Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, well, Star Trek doesn't always do funny well, but when it does it well, it's character-based. And this is how that worked. Okay, so number 2, Stephen Mocht, who plays Krim, was actually considered for Picard before Patrick Stewart got the gig. I think they made the right choice.
Which one is he? Who was that?
He's the general that Sisko goes to meet on Bajor.
Oh. Okay. He was great. He's excellent. I don't know if
I mean, absolutely no shade whatsoever to Stephen Mock. He's a perfectly good actor, but Patrick Stewart, I mean, come on.
Let's be honest. Let's be realistic here.
All right. Next up, the model for the Cresseri freighter was built for the next generation and used more than 20 times as various ships. They would flip it and turn it around and spin it and try to make it look different by just flipping the damn thing all over the place. And because, Mike, you realize at this point, every ship you see is an actual physical model. This is before CGI. Including the station. That is a big freaking model. And so those are expensive to make. So the Crisari freighter, they just wisely made a generic looking ship that you can, what was that? Like pull it and pop it and bip it and bop it.
Yeah.
What was
that? Pip and pop?
Pip and pop. Yes, exactly. So they were able to pip and pop the ship to be many different ships.
But they did save that money, Keith, on their every time we go to Bajor or the monastery, we get that rebeautiful matte painting.
That was also expensive, you know. So
reduce, recycle, renew.
Yep, we're very green here on Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. All of my Coke cans are diligently recycled. So lastly, Bareil's name is misspelled in the opening credits. And on this note that I wrote. So because, I can't spell, but I wasn't doing the opening credits for a large television show. All right, so that is trivial trivia. Let's talk about what's the Next Generation doing this week.
Yeah.
And the Next Generation this week was doing Gambit Part 1, which is a fun little two-parter. This is in Season 7. Picard goes undercover. We think maybe he's dead. Lots of exciting stuff, which also features Bruce Gray as Admiral Chakotay, who we will see in this episode. So I think he was in for the week at Paramount, and they used him in both episodes.
Keith, I think next week, because I like the context of what was happening in TNG. But if I recall, what was big in my house around this time period was the old, and now younger viewers, probably not that many on our demo, but for those people who don't know, there used to be a thing called the TV Guide. And the TV Guide would tell you what was important in television and what you should watch, right?
Yes.
So I think that maybe next week I'll do a little bit of digging, and when you present what was happening on the TNG, let's give us maybe a broader scope of what was happening on television, what was important that week, what was being pointed out.
I tell you, now that we're not doing our other show, Mike is like inventing segments. He wants to record 6 episodes of Toys a week, even though we're stacked up for a long time.
He's bored.
He's bored.
He realized he doesn't have many other friends.
Folks, if you're wondering, is Mike lonely? Yes. He's inventing segments. No, that's not true.
It's kind of true.
Well, we podcast a lot, so obviously that's sort of what that's based. Anyway, so Bruce Gray as Admiral Chakotay. Chakotay, do you know why that name also might be important?
It's sometimes like where I go to get lunch if I want some bad meat.
Boo. Boo. Well, folks, if you want to give Mike some bad meat, he's lonely. So anyway, yes, so on Voyager.
I can't believe I said that on the internet.
Every week it keeps getting worse. Keeps getting worse.
It wasn't good.
Let's move on to guest stars. What do you say?
Yeah, please.
So already mentioned Bruce Gray as Admiral Chakotay and Stephen Mocht as Krim. We also have Richard Bamer back as Lee Nollis. We have Philip Anglin back as Bareil. We have Frank Langella back as Minister Jarrow, and the return of Louise Fletcher as Vedic Wynn.
And the good news is we get one of them back with 100% less clothing.
We do, yes, a lot less clothing for. Bareil is very thirsty this episode, so I think that's a great way to say, let's talk about the episode, shall we?
Let's do it.
That delights me every week. All right, so here we are, Season 2, Episode 2, The Circle. After our first Previously On, now, Mike, do you know who does the voiceover for Previously On Deep Space Nine?
Is it, it did sound familiar, but I couldn't remember. Is it the voice of the computer?
It is. It's Majel Barrett.
Yes.
Of course. So that's cool. And it's our first one. It will not be our last. But we don't get a lot of those in Star Trek, at least in Next Generation, only for the two-parters. But we're going to get that a fair amount. So Minister Jaro doesn't understand why Sisko is pissed that Kira got fired. And Jaro, he does make a decent point about Bajor's autonomy in hiring and firing, but then pretends that Kira's being promoted. Sisko doesn't buy it for a second. So in the scene, they both make it very clear that they do not like each other. And it's a fun little, like, I hate you, but I'm not going to say it scene.
Mm-hmm. I liked the awesome placement of the baseball, because they're both sort of the pitcher's duel right here. They're both staring each other down. They're doing the stare off. I think he grabs. Yeah, they love to fondle those balls on this show.
I already had that joke written in there.
I got you. Beat you.
We are just terrible people. Oh man, never give Mike time to prep. Mike, you're turning into me.
Yeah,
you started this empire. We're like, what's happening? Oh, I'm here. All right, whatever. And now like, I've got all this stuff going. Wow. All right. So Jaro says that the circle is getting more powerful and violent, and he makes a vague threat towards Lee Nollis. Then he fondles Sisko's ball. Then Jake calls and shows that their quarters have also been spray painted with the circle logo. They got a discount on the yellow paint. Yeah, so that's that scene between Langella and Sisko. I just love seeing like good actors hate each other on screen. I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, and also like it's funny how Frank Langella. In context, he he's seems to be a pretty terrible person, but it's funny how someone you start to just buy someone's type. Tom Hanks is a great example. You sort of just like buy into it. You don't really. This episode's a great example of why he's not usually hired to play like the goofy dad, right?
Can you imagine?
He's really a pretty specific
Frank
what he
Langella
does.
in Mr. Mom.
Yeah, like him as right. He's very specific at what he does. They're not really sort of like playing that he's not a bad guy in some way. You're sort of waiting to see exactly what it is. Clearly, he has some political aspirations, but as it turns out, he maybe there's more to the story, Keith.
Yes, and how could you possibly have guessed?
Yeah, we only basically fade out from him directly to this.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so in Act 1. In what I wish they had kept as a single unbroken shot, we see everyone come say goodbye to Kira. Also, I'd like to point out how amazing the ceiling height is in her quarters.
Oh, yeah. She got those vaulted space ceilings.
It's like, it's got to be at least 12, 14, 16 feet ceilings. But, she got good quarters. But also, actually, this is a great way to see this shot. I noticed that this shot was also incredibly flat and brightly lit because they were shooting it all in one shot, and they had to be able to move the camera around and still have everybody be lit. So you couldn't have those like cool little pot lights and the dark lights here and there. So they had to just light it like a stage.
Folks, what we call that is a full wash.
Full wash, indeed. Yeah. So first up, Odo accuses her of surrendering. He says she's not following her own personal code and ignoring the rules, and he's very upset. And of course, I think that sort of we're getting a little bit more hints, like you said, why the scene works because of the track we've laid with these character beats. So we know that Odo and Kira's relationship is special. They have a longer standing relationship. We saw it early in the series. And all the way through, we know they have a connection that is a little deeper and older than some of these other characters. So that's why he's pissed. Next up is Dax. And she returns some lotion And Odo is still pissed. Then Bashir shows up, and who's just there to wish her good luck because they haven't really had any scenes together yet. Next, it's O'Brien. O'Brien doesn't have much to say, and we are starting to stack up characters in our farce. Then Quark shows up with some synthale. It's becoming very chaotic, but fun. I mean, look, this really does. It's staged like a play, right? Because they're all facing downstage.
Look at O'Brien. O'Brien's like, this is not comfortable nor natural, but
I can't move my arms. I can't move.
We just noted that it's like 18-foot ceilings in this huge let's get as close as we can. Yeah.
Everybody turn 45 degrees.
Ooh.
That's what, what AllamaEmmies has plenty of stage work in his I saw him in A Moon for the Misbegotten way back on Broadway like a million years ago with Kevin Spacey. So
that went well. Ladies and gentlemen, now introducing grown-up Daniel LaRusso. Oh wait, no.
Yes, he's going to do the crane kick. Of course, it is Vedic Bareil. And he comes in looking all like, what's up? And she makes a point of introducing all of the people in the room as her friends.
Was he this thirsty last time we saw him?
Well, he was like, I put it this way. He was thirsty, but like he was setting up deniability.
Okay.
So, you know how you were like, I'm thirsty, but like, oh, I'm just sort of reserved because I'm a priest. Whatever. But I'm not super thirsty. Now he's like, yeah. So that's.
I mean, I guess this is after the prophets showed him some saucy bits, so he knows he has some context that we don't have yet.
That's true. He's like, we are quite literally fated to be mated. So.
Ooh, that's trademark Keith Varney, folks.
No, that's from something.
Well, very great. That's from something. Hey,
it's from some. Boy, the incredible, searing commentary you get here. Patreon.com/KandM. You want to pay for this, even though it's free.
Drop it like flies.
Oh my God. So Bareil points out. And getting more serious, Bareil points out that there are more weapons on the street now on Bajor than during the occupation. Then, of course, he asks her out. I mean, to hang out at the monastery. So that's clear. Later, Kira takes a stroll through Ops one last time. And the set looks fantastic.
And in the background, closing time. One more call for alcohol, so finish your roccacino.
Roccacino.
Well, that was so close.
I'm gonna roccacino. I'm gonna roll a chino. Great.
That's it.
You are gonna lose your cue privileges.
Okay, I'm allowed one more this episode.
Okay, that's it. But we're only in Act 1, so really think about.
We haven't even got to the scene where he does that laugh, which is in this episode.
That's true.
Wait, what is the drink that I'm trying to think of called?
Roccacino.
That was pretty close.
Yeah, it's close enough.
I mean, it didn't deserve the scorn you threw at me. Roccacino.
Look, scorn is what we do here.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. So she's sad. Kira be sad.
She's sad, and I love those pulsing lights that were behind her. I didn't notice those before. That sort of look like the warp drive as it sort of cycles up. It looks cool.
Yeah, there's two really cool. This is one of the really cool shots in the episode. There's another really wild one they try that we haven't seen yet, and I couldn't get a screen cap of it because I mean, maybe one day if I get crazy, I'll get some video in here, but there's one shot a little bit later in the episode. I don't know if you noticed it, where we'll get there, and I'll remind us. But the camera's backing up; it's POV style, and it gets onto the lift, and then someone's talking, and we see it go down really fast. The camera's on the lift going down, and we see this. Yeah. We've never seen that before, and it's wild and completely inconsistent thematically or tonally with the episode. But regardless, kind of cool.
I mean, you're just It's because we don't do a lot of POV shots.
Yeah, but it's a wipe to the next scene, so they kind of use it as a cross dissolve, but it was cool.
I didn't find it jarring. I really liked it. Anyway, where were we? So Lee Nollis shows up and he apologizes to her and says he never wanted the job. Didn't try to take it from you. And she admits that, frankly, at the start, I didn't want the job either. He asks where a Navark fits in the command structure. And Cisco comes in and smoothly says, as I understand it, you report directly to the prophets, but from time to time, I may ask you for your help. Dude is a phenomenal leader. That so is good. such a like classy and sophisticated and face-saving way to say I'm in charge.
Yeah, and this is a great shot of that. Actually, there was some great blocking in this episode.
Yeah, I love how Cisco handled that. That was so cool. Then Kira gets ready to leave, but Cisco says, I'm going to get you back. And that is how we end Act 1.
Well, he says something better than that, actually. Speaking of his leadership, but also his friendship. And it's a line that we've talked about. It's difficult for him to walk, and it's difficult to write sometimes. But they do such a great job in this episode setting this line here. He doesn't... It could be kind of, I don't want to say mansplaining. It could be kind of like pejorative if he was just like, I promise you I'll get you back. Because it sets him up as the hero.
Right.
And like he's doing her some sort of favor. But what he says is, I promise both of us that I'll get you back. Which is basically setting up that like, not only do I want you back for my, because you want to be here, but because I want you here and because we need you. I thought that just the way that they framed that line was really smart.
Well, it's good writing. And it's good character work. Again, this is Peter Allen Fields who wrote Duet, and you can just see that like sometimes good writing is about that extra word in a line for both of us, or what like that. Like those two little couplets there are just the difference between good writing and great writing. All right, so in Act 2, we head back to Bajor, and Kira is building a dam in the stream at the monastery. Bareil shows up and they discuss the metaphor.
There is no hair gel down here.
No,
none.
No, it's not necessary. She's building the dam in a stream because she wants to flood out their beautiful gardens. Also, Kira looks weird in a dress. She's in sort of like a dress here, and I'm like, doesn't feel right.
You know who doesn't look weird in a dress?
No, Bareil looks perfect. He looks exactly how he should look. Until he takes it off.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say he's one rope pull away from just being in his.
He's got a quick release for the full Bajor. Yeah. He keeps hitting on her.
Mm-hmm. He's looking for that quick release. Am I right?
He sure is. Oh God, this is terrible.
Keith, I want to hit the button so bad, but
no, you are not allowed to hit. You have one left. Look, the rules are. You have one left, so make sure you're really satisfied with your joke.
Oh crap! CEO Jen's bringing me a coffee. Wait, I don't think CEO Jen has appeared yet on this show.
I don't think she has.
I don't know if the camera's going to pick her up, but
the CEO of K&M Empire.
She's bowing. Just know we'll introduce her in some segment, but that's
right.
She holds the purse strings.
She sure does. Anyway, so Kira confesses that she has no artistic skills and she feels useless. And he encouraged her to explore it. By it, I mean the orb of the prophets.
Mm-hmm.
It's the third orb, the orb of prophecy and change. It's a big moment for Kira.
Because she gets to go into a new set they built.
They built this new. Well, I wonder if that's the same set from the pilot, but they didn't go down through like the really cool like staircase hidden in the water. This one's just like sitting out there for everybody. So I don't know why they had such good security. Probably didn't want to do the VFX shot, but I really liked the shot from the pilot going down through the fake water thing. Anyway, it's a big deal for Kira, of course, and she opens it and is zapped into Prophet World.
Now,
she has,
you know what I thought of here, and I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to give you the trivia, Keith, and if you don't know it, then we're going to leave it. Somebody in the comments can tell us. But this reminded me of, and I'm just going to sing the song. You got the touch. You got the power. You know that reference?
Is that from the Transformers movie?
Nailed it.
Yes. Yep. And also Boogie Nights.
Yes.
Both
the Matrix of Power. That's
uses.
what the Matrix of Power is. What makes you a leader of the Autobots. So this basically Kira's getting. Well, it goes a different direction here. It becomes a wet dream, but you know.
Ew. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying ew. So
she's such a great actress.
She's amazing. She's zapped into the. I mean, think about like from the standpoint of the actor, right? Okay, we're just going to shine a blue light in your face. Mm-hmm. Have like a life-changing experience on your face. Yeah. There's literally like a dude there like holding a light bulb in her face. And she has to give that performance. It's amazing. She has a vision, and in friendly and menacing faces, the prophets say, listen to them. Whatever that means. Then she full-on gets it on with Bareil. So that happens.
It's fun to see. This was one frame.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh, yay. Okay. Yay. He's cute. Oh, God. And I'm nude. Oh, but this is better. This is great.
Oh, God.
Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch.
To move on to the next skill because now I'm uncomfortable.
Still I
need you to go on to the next. Thank you. All right.
Is this where we wanted to get to? Because it's where she wanted to get to. This is where she gets off, Keith.
Ew.
I mean, she gets off of the prophecy trip. Come on.
We started this.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
We tried to aim higher for this show. We have failed.
We knew we knew that was going to happen.
All right. So Act 3 begins, and Odo is on a Zoom with a buddy on Bajor, who says that the provisional government is going to put troops in the streets. I don't know. Did you get a shot of the screen? Oh, you saw it disappearing. Sadly, that cool screen that comes up out of his
it is cool.
His desk there. We're never going to see that again. So I'm guessing the VFX was a pain in the ass. But I thought it was really cool. Quark then shows up and says it's over. He can smell where the winds are blowing and thinks the whole thing is about to fall apart. The provisional government, the Federation, and he says the Circle has enough weapons and supplies to support an army, which I think is a really interesting way to handle this, because Quark, of all people, would be able to smell where the winds are shifting first, because he's sort of 1 foot in the underworld, 1 foot not. And when he's concerned, like I'd be concerned when and of course finding out there's so many weapons down on the streets.
Well, and I think it's great to use him because not only does he have his foot in the underworld, which I think is great, and it's a great tool for Odo here to kind of sense where the winds are blowing, but Quark, of all people, would be the one who would want to keep his business and keep it running to the bitter end. He would not abandon ship. He would stay with that casino as long as it was making money and being profitable. So him willing to just up and abandon and leave, you know that there's some ish going down.
Yeah, and it's all very Casablanca. The weapons, of course, gets Odo's attention, and Quark says that the Krasari have been supplying the Circle with weapons. And Odo tells Quark to find out the plan. But, of course, Quark wants to run. So Odo then deputizes Quark, which is fun. It's cute.
And Quark's response, Keith?
No, this is your time.
Oh, does it count if I'm just explaining?
All right, in context, fine. It doesn't
He says, you're deputized. And Quark goes, us work together? Great beat. That cutting off of the laugh is like a classic. It's like next to a spit take. It's a comedic staple.
Yeah. Yeah.
As
Well, you know, Quark's sarcastic laughter is great. So yeah, Odo says if Quark won't help, he's going to throw him in jail. So then in Ops, Sisko announces that he's going to Bajor because he's hearing there may be a coup. Now, he also says coup in such a mellifluous voice that it makes it sound lovely. There's going to be a coup on Bajor. That's how it's a really specific way to say that word, but he does it twice in this episode. Lee Nollis asks if he can help. Sisko asks for intelligence. They decide to put in a curfew and assign Nollis a bodyguard. So they head back to Bajor, and Bareil subtly admits that they get it on in his orb vision as well. And they hear gunfire in the distance. Then, dun dun dun, Vedic Wynn appears. She is awful, as always, and clearly picks up on the vibes going on between Bareil and Kira.
So this is a great shot of two people who just explored their physical relationship, and their parents caught them. And the girl in this situation is saying, "No, nothing happened, Mom. We were just hanging out." But the guy's face betrays the scenario.
I mean, yes, and I read it as, all right, so you're on that date, right? And you haven't crossed that bridge with your partner yet, but you're eating your dinner, you're getting to dessert, and you give that, you start tucking around that conversation, and they're like, "Yeah, it's happening tonight," and that's the face you make as you finish your dessert.
Oh boy, we're just 18-year-old boys, aren't we?
18.
Well, I was trying to keep it PC.
Oh yeah.
But then Mom walks in.
Yeah, mom walks in, and she's like super condescending about it.
Mom, did you have to wear your cone hat?
Mom, it's a weekend. You don't.
Yeah. You have to dress like the Pope today.
Jeez, you're not even the Pope yet. So, anyway, Louise Fletcher is amazing.
So good.
She's so good. She makes my skin crawl, and it's just great. So, in another part of Bajor, almost Picard, General Krim is giving military commands when Sisko shows up, and we see what a great set they've built for
Great
this.
set. Now, Keith, maybe it's just the imagery, the clock imagery, or this, because that looks sort of like a watch face. But doesn't that kind of give you vibes of that clock, that weird clock Sisko was building in that one episode?
In Dramatis Personae,
right?
It does.
Yeah.
It's cool, and obviously from a production standpoint, it looks like they painted onto a gel and lit it from behind. That's obviously not a digital screen. And I don't think it's a projection either. I think they actually just painted onto a gel to make that map. It looks amazing.
That's cool.
It's really cool. And for a one-off set, like really, and then the opposite shot. I don't know if you have it, but when we see the opposite side of that room, great set. Anyway, Sisko says that some of the military forces are unwilling to fight against the Circle. It's all very insurrection-y and way more scary in 2022 than it was in 1993. We'll talk more about that later. So Sisko tells Krim that the Crisari
There's that shot.
There's that shot. Yeah, I mean, look.
So good.
Look at the steps going up, and the lighting is always amazing. And the walls on Deep Space Nine are never flat; they're always at angles and always lit. So it's just
You're
beautiful.
telling me that's potential. That was understudy Captain Picard.
That was understudy. Well, he was on the list. There are a lot of people on the list, but he was one of the people on the list for Picard.
They give Cisco another incredible exchange in this. They really gave him some nuggets of leadership here. He's really kind of owning it now, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, I love Cisco in this arc. He says the Crusari are arming the circle. He then asks to get Kira back. Krim says, go to Jaro. But he does appreciate that Cisco didn't try to trade the info about the Crusari for a favor of getting Kira back. And you can see the gel behind him. I'm assuming that's a painted gel. I guess it could be like a slide that they blew up.
Man, it kind of looks like sort of like a satellite image.
Like a satellite. Well, I think that's what it's supposed to be in canon, is that he's looking at satellite images of the city in the battle. But I don't know. I know it looks great. So we head back to Ops, and Linalis and Dax are stalling the Crusari that they think are doing the arms shipment. They're searching his ship for weapons, but they haven't found anything. The Crusari's makeup, again, is great. And I wish we saw more of that, because that's a really cool... I mean, look at the detail on that. That looks so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, they spent... That's so much money. You'd think we'd have at least they gave him a close-up.
So much money and so much work. And I don't know if we ever see that whole thing again.
Speaking of, I'm sorry, this is a non sequitur, but I'll take this moment since you mentioned it. You know, you brought up on the show a bunch of times, Armin Shimmerman's just how much time he spent in the makeup chair. Yeah. And recently he was interviewed. Did you read this article? They interviewed him and asked if he would come back to Picard or to Discovery or one of those shows. And he's like, I'd never do a series regular again because it was just too much. The makeup was too much. He goes, but if they did want me, he goes, they'd have to give me that Michael Dorn money. I thought it was a pretty clever comment.
No, they should give him his Sting money. All right, so deep cut for wrestling folks. All right, so and the Crusari guy is in a hurry to get out. They can't find the arms. And he's like, I got to get out. I have some sensitive herbaceous materials, which
weed.
My co-host is an expert in that. So also in this scene, I like that we see that the view screen is a hollow projection over a wall, as opposed to a big screen like it is on Next Gen. So because they don't need to build a screen in because it's just a hollow projection. I know it's a cool little detail, a cool VFX shot. On the ship, O'Brien is still searching. Dax calls him and tells him to give up without telling the Crusari that they are searching for weapons. Naturally, we see, if you go back one, that Odo has attached himself to a box. Then he turns into a rat. That's good and gross. It's also very unclear here, the rules of Odo's mass. Right? Like density and mass, because you would think if you can't create or destroy matter, that is either the most dense rat you've ever seen. That rat weighs 200 pounds, or the Odo that
is it explained later? So explain me this.
Yeah,
is it explained later that he can only exist in one entity? Like, can he let some of his arm goo go and become a rat, and he stays in the bucket elsewhere, or what?
That is a very good question. It's not really answered specifically, but I think based on the series, he has to be one thing.
Okay. Because that would explain it. That would explain
anything. But no, he can't just, because otherwise you could just put like 10 little Odos, 10 little Quark, you're a jerk, just running around. So we can't do that. So anyway, we go to the gardens. And Cisco tracks down Kira, who is daydreaming on a rock. She tells him about her orb encounter, except for the horny stuff. He says that he hasn't given up on getting her back, and that the fighting is getting closer. And he's not convinced that the military is going to back the provisional government. He pieces out, then Kira is abducted by the masked and robed dudes from the circle. Yikes. And that is the end of Act 3.
It's crazy that they didn't just get Cisco too, but maybe that would have been too much. That would have been that would have raised Federation alarm, and they don't want to do that just yet.
I think that's probably it. But yeah, that would make a great deal of sense. They want to know what Cisco's up to. Just take Cisco. But
well, at this point, I'm marveling watching the show because, we talked about it in our last podcast. It's about the practice or just courtroom dramas. It's difficult to tell multi-layered stories in 45 minutes less. Yeah. And here it's very easy. And some of the other arcs we've done in this show specifically have been very like black and white, good guy, bad guy, good political person, bad political person.
Right. The guy in the hood is the guy who did it.
So here, I'm loving this tale. We can talk about the echoes to like present day later, but in just in the fiction, it's very multifaceted. It's not just the Bajorans, bad Bajorans, good Bajorans. There's points to be made. They're distrustful of the Federations, this sect. They're distrustful of the occupation, but then they end up using the occupiers in order to help further the goals. Blah 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 blah. There's so much cool espionage is the word I keep using, because it's like people playing tricks on tricks using this.
Right.
It's so multi-layered that I'm just like. It makes up a little bit. Remember last week we were like, they tried to do too much table setting last week when you would have liked a more focused sort of escape. I think that would have, I doubled down on that thought because they do all of the great sort of political intrigue, political espionage intrigue here that now we're really cooking. And at this point in the episode, I'm like, yes, I'm in on all levels. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and you really get a sense of the rising stakes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You're here in this beautiful garden, but you hear gunfire in the distance. You hear explosions happening, and it's like, oh, this is real. Like this is actually like really happening, and it's getting a little scary.
Are we gonna get an action sequence, Keith? That would really put it over the top.
I think we might. So in Act 4, on the Krasari ship, Rat Odo discovers that the Krasari are working with the Cardassians. So, and cool, the visual effects they were able to do in 1993, that beaming effect, it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
The transition to the rat, less so, but the beaming effect looks amazing.
The fat, heavy rat.
Rat Odo, that's right. The 200-pound rat is there finding out stuff. So we head into the Circle's headquarters, which could you have imagined? It's in the cave set. We've seen a million different times.
I really wanted it to be on a diagonal slant.
Oh, that would have been so cool. But, moving the floor is a lot harder than moving the walls.
Yeah, just tilt the camera, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm talking
Everyone has to lean
I'm talking 60s Batman style.
I mean, that's a great idea until you have to shoot for 12 hours and all the actors have to stand like
Keith,
that.
who's the bad guy? Who's the bad guy? And I hope that the bad guy just stands right in front of the symbol like a complete, just like villain. Will they do it?
Yes. Indeed, yes. We see the Circle is Minister Jarro, and he is behind the coup, and he's still got more yellow spray paint.
If only he had a maniacal, evil henchman laugh.
There you go.
It's all over now.
You're on a timeout now.
No, that was it. I got my last one.
That was it. That was your moment. Okay, fair enough. So Jarro makes a very Hitler-esque speech.
Caught him monologuing.
Like post-World War I speech about the Bajorans being powerless and needing to regain their power and autonomy. Very history repeating itself. Jarro thinks that Kira might be willing to be on his side. He offers her the station if she helps them kick the Federation out. He tries to get her to tell him what Cisco will do. And of course, she won't, and he pulls her off to be tortured. They learned that from the Cardassians. This is a bit of, I guess it's important what Cisco's going to do. But I don't know if this is a lot to sort of track down and abduct somebody and torture somebody to speculate on what somebody else is going to do. If you tortured me to find out what you were going to do, I'd be able to guess, but I wouldn't know for sure. I don't know if I'm worth being tortured.
Well, Well, yes, okay, we could talk about that wormholes, I guess. But the things I did like was, if you remember, this writer wrote on Duet, and in Duet,
Right.
we learn a great deal about the political tactics of the Cardassians, and it's so great to echo that here. Like we all the stuff they did, you know, to like get information and during the occupation, and then the fact that we've learned a little bit something here, but they give Langella the opportunity up front to try to maybe sway Kira, because remember, she was a war fighter, a freedom fighter, and she should align with some of these principles, right? She's shown that maybe in the beginning she had some kickback about her role on the station and whether it was even appropriate or going to be helpful, or if she could trust the Federation. So it's all plays in. I mean, we know where she's going to go, where she's going to side, but it tracks that he would feel this way. And then,
yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth a shot from his point
this
of
is
view.
when I just think the plot device and the sequencing and the writing is so strong, because, and then when we find out the kind of what's going on with the Cardassians, it's just over the top. I just love the plotting.
No, it's great, and we're sort of going through the authoritarian playbook here, and it's really prescient. So
plus, I think he's just a little evil, right? I think him wanting to torture her is a little evil, but it also shows the respect they have for Sisko, who's earned it by this point. Like, I think they want to know what he's up to, because if there's anybody who could stop it, I think they think it's him.
Yeah. Well, he's and he also represents the Federation. The Federation has the ability to step in for sure. Will they? We'll find out later. So on Ops, our heroes try to figure out who took Kira, and Nahlas, of course, offers to help, but Deputy Quark shows up to save the day, and he tells them he's found where the Circle's headquarters are, and they hop on a runabout for a rescue mission. Nahlas, of course, wants to come too, because he knows how to fight, if not how to be a political leader. So they immediately hop into the runabout, and as I understand it, that's like a 7-hour trip, but we're not going to address this here. They have I hope they have a bathroom on the runabout. That's all I'm saying. They beam into the caves and hear Kira screaming. Sisko calls for a straight-on assault, and he hands out communicators. The idea is you pin a communicator on Kira, then O'Brien can know where she is and beam her out. Which is, I've always thought that the machinations on this were a little bit, the power of the sensors, the Federation sensors, are either superpowered or underpowered depending on what the story needs. It's kind of like Troy.
Mm-hmm.
It's either wildly overpowered or wildly underpowered. But this gives us.
It's true. I do like when sometimes they'll be like they're miles off a planet. They're like, we've got heat signatures. We can tell there's people over here. Blah 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 blah. But then in some episodes, it's like, if I just take off my communicator, no one will find me anywhere.
Like heat signals. Sometimes they'll be like, "Hey, it's Bob Smith from and he had this for lunch, and he's really upset about his dog." Like,
but he left his communicator in an elevator, and so we lost him.
He's lost him. He's have no idea. So I don't know. Whatever. So the fight begins, and she looks rough. Yikes. The fight begins, and Bashir finds Kira. She looks pretty bad. Instead of putting the communicator on her right away and then beaming out, no problem, and untying her hands when they get on the ship, where they're not like, pew, pew, pew. He unties her hands first, which, of course, gives them time to be attacked. But they are able to beam the survivors out and get Kira. All of our heroes survived, but naturally, the nameless Bajoran officers got red-shirted. So, that's just what's going to happen. So we head back to the infirmary, and Kira wants to get Lee Nahlas to the Chamber of Ministers to talk to them. But Odo shows up and announces that the Cardassians have been supplying the Circle with weapons. So this is where we find out where all these guns are coming from. It's the Cardassians. And most importantly, the Circle doesn't know it's the Cardassians who are supplying them with weapons.
Do we assume that, or do we know that? Because my feeling for the plot, and I'm just guessing because I don't know, Is that maybe they do know? Because if he's as bad, if Langel's as bad as all that, then maybe it's kind of mutually. No, I guess not, because what would the Cardassians have to gain if Federation was gone? I mean, clearly, maybe they both want war to see.
Well, I mean, the Cardassians have a lot to gain with the Federation being gone, because the Cardassians left the occupation because not because they got kicked out, or the Bajorans won, or the Federation kicked them out. It was that there was nothing left here to exploit, right? So they're like, all right, this isn't worth it. We're getting out of here. The Bajorans are annoying and they're blowing us up. So they left. Federation comes in. Then what changed was the wormhole. The wormhole is the most important thing in the entire sector. Like, it is gigantically important. So now the Cardassians definitely want to go back and take over the occupation. So that's what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anyway, so that's what's happening. Where was I? So, yeah, Russia, if you can hear me, the Cardassians want the Federation to leave so they can come back. That's what I wrote. So Sisko tells Dax to broadcast a message from Lee Nollis to the Chamber of Ministers. Of course, the thought being that if he can talk to Congress, he can calm things down, and they will listen to him because he's Lee Nollis. Sisko, we did that. But of course, all the frequencies are jammed because the coup has begun.
Coup.
The coup. Oh, the coup has begun. Back on Bajor, we find out, of course, that Minister Jaro is in cahoots with Vedic Wynn.
Maybe more than cahoots, Keith, if you know what I'm saying.
They might be knocking caboots.
Yeah.
No. No, bad Mike.
It was yours. You earned it, buddy.
And of course he says the future belongs to me. Nothing ominous about that.
She lights so many candles.
That's what she does. She's got her little candle goober there, and she's just that's her job today, is lighting candles.
Which orb does she have back there?
I think that is also the orb of prophecy.
Oh, there's like multiple orbs of prophecy?
No, there are multiple orbs, but each one of them does a different thing.
Right, but the prophecy one was in the other chamber.
I think it's the same chamber.
Is this the same place?
Yeah, because so
oh, you're right. There's the door again. Yeah.
The Vedics live on a monastery altogether. So Bareil and Wynn live on the same complex.
Gotcha.
So that's what's happening. So he says, so Jaro asks Wynn for her public support. She's obviously in cahoots privately, but he wants her public support. They both want to return to orthodox values. They want the same thing, and he trades her public support for him for making her Kai. It's a deal. She's like, I don't know if they're going to vote me in to be Pope, so I'm going to, I'll help you with your coup if you help me become Pope. Yikes. So it's a great scene, and just two great villain actors doing great villainy stuff.
Great sequence here.
Yeah. And great lighting and set design, especially with that amount of budget they're working on. So we head back to the station.
Now hold on. Where is that shot against? Is that a backdrop back there?
Probably.
I mean,
it's probably a flat, probably a matte painting.
Yeah, right. It's not a green screen because the exposure is so well done in post there. Because look, the high sunbeam there would overexpose him, but it's just really well lit.
I guess they could do it green screen.
I don't think so, though. They wouldn't have been able to get the well, I don't know. I don't know the answer. Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Definitely feels like a flat out there. But
well, whatever it is, it's cool.
Yeah, it's rad.
So we head back to the station, and the assault vehicles are on their way to Bajor, or the assault vessels. Now, I do have a question, like, whose assault vessels?
Yeah, because the Federation said they weren't coming to help.
No. It's not the Federation assault vessels. These are the people doing the coup. So are they're Bajoran vessels? Or are they Krasari vessels? Are they Cardassian vessels? I'm unclear.
Bad guy. Let's just say bad guy vessels.
The bad guys, but it's a big problem. And Sisko talks to Admiral Chakotay
on his compact laptop.
On his compact laptop, exactly. It takes a while to boot up, but it's got a webcam in there.
It's also, but it's also a weapon. It's very heavy.
Very heavy. I had a compact.
Yep.
Ooh, yikes. Chakotay tells him that the Prime Directive applies, and the Federation cannot intervene in an internal civil war, even if the Cardassians are involved. So, yikes. He tells Sisko to evacuate Starfleet from the station. And Sisko wants to pull all Federation materials out first. So basically, he's like, we can get all our people out pretty quickly. But Sisko's like, nah, we got to take everything. We got to take all of our compacts. We got to take our flat screens. We got to take all of our toys so that they're going to still be there when the assault ships arrive. So
that's ballsy. He's putting that's a huge risk he's taken with his crew.
Yeah. Well, and he's been told to pull out, but he won't. And it's here we go. It's going to set up a pretty exciting part 3, Mike. So that's the circle. I think it is time for Mike's vocab quiz. And now it's time for Mike Indeglio's Star Trek vocabulary quiz. Okay, Mike, your first word is synthale.
That's something that we're sharing at the. It's like if they run out of Rock-de-Gino, we got to get a synthale going. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You know what they always say, like Rock-de-Gino before synthale, puking in the pail. Synthale before Rock-de-Gino, as sweet as vino.
Stuck the landing.
It feels wrong. Am I wrong?
Well, synthale is a little bit murky, but basically it seems like the Federation just took the alcohol out of alcohol, so it is no fun whatsoever, and nobody wants synthale.
Okay.
But I would imagine, like, can't you have the alcohol properties and just get rid of the hangovers? Like, that sounds like a better plan. All right, so your next piece word is herbaceous materials. Sensitive herbaceous materials.
That's that was the cover that our what was his name? The Crustinis?
Crustinis. They're delicious with synthale.
The Crustinis were transporting some herb ale. That's what was in the ship. I don't know.
Oh, God. All right, let's time to come along home. Let's come along home. AllamaEmmies, count to 4. AllamaEmmies, then one more. AllamaEmmies, it's AllamaEmmies time! Okay. We have done the AllamaEmmies. We are here at the bar. Let's get some synthale. It's going to be delicious. First up, let's talk about, were there any wormholes in the plot?
I mean, I guess you've got one. I'll let you pick that bone when it comes to the bad guy plotting. We felt the same way last week. We're like, why did they have the moving rocks? And here it's like, why would they torture Kira? It's like, you can kill her if you want, or if she doesn't give you the info, like, what's the point of having kidnapped her, right? That's the thing. They didn't really, like, try too hard to get her. Did they really think she would join their side? Because otherwise, maybe that's what you should kind of, like, try to spend more time convincing her of that, because you could use her as an ally rather than just, like, sending her straight to torture, which definitely will not align her to your cause. So that's a little weird.
No.
Yeah. That's a little weird. Other than that, I'd have to say, for as kind of complex a plot structure as this is, with as many kind of levels as there are, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I don't see many things. The only thing I would question, and I don't know Ben's sort of ultimate plan yet, is why he would risk if the threat is as dire as it seems, a lot of weapons, a lot of explosions, why he would risk his whole crew, the whole station. He better have a good plan. That's my only kind of like, that seems a little bit risky for Ben, but Ben likes to walk the line. So I don't know. I feel pretty good about wormholes this week, Keith.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, there's the risk is in just leaving, right? Because then it's tough from the standpoint of the Federation, right? Like, I get it. You don't want to intervene in a and maybe this is the wormhole for me about this. I mean, yes, the torture thing, we talked about that, but the Federation pulling off of the station so as not to intervene in an internal civil war. I totally get that. I also get that the Federation are there as guests of the Bajorans. The Bajorans own the station, and the Federations are sort of there as a guest, but they haven't officially been asked to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm the Federation, realizing the wildly important strategic importance of the wormhole, until you tell us to leave, I'm sending in 1,000 ships to hold that position at the very least. Let the coup happen, let it sort it out, and then negotiate what to do. I don't pull out. And
also they dismiss the Cardassian involvement so quickly. Now, granted, I know that happens in our own geopolitical situation all the time, whereas, okay, the war's between these two countries, but they're clearly being supplied weapons by like a ghost nation, us often.
Usually
we're often, yeah. But it seems like the Federation would be more apt to explore the motivations of the Cardassians and like how how that would play out if we give them power back of Bajor, or their potential attempt at.
They definitely don't want it. I guess like the parallel here would be an embassy, right? In a country that's having a civil war or a coup. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't just like surround the embassy with tanks and risk further conflict.
Do you know what I find interesting, though, with the exception of the one Vedic, and then there's not a strong voice of the provisional government in the whole plot here.
Well, that's Jaro. That's the thing.
Oh, well, I guess I see him still as a stand-in for the sort of, so like
but he and this is where like our parallels start to come together, right? Jaro is the president.
Okay, but then riddle me this then, as far as your wormhole about the Federation.
Yeah.
Is an internal coup really a civil war? If one half of the government isn't aware it's coming? Like if let's say in our geopolitics, if we knew, right, that one of the warring
Trudeau was taking
was actually trying to subvert the whole government and blow it up from the inside. I feel like we would probably have some sort of engagement in that.
Well, but engagement on diplomatically, yes. But are we going to put troops in Canada?
I guess we don't really know what the Federation's doing on the backside politically.
I mean, obviously, like there's no reason to like talk around the parallel here. Mm-hmm. Like Jaro's Trump, he's the current president, doesn't want to leave, and stirs up radical extremists within his own country to perform a coup so he can stay in power and take over power and get rid of the restrictions. And so it's the parallel is very clear. So I guess in this situation, the Federation is Canada looking at us. Is what's Canada going to do about the insurrection?
Yeah,
right. The
kind of condemn it on the news, right?
Like I'm out of here. You guys sort it out, and then we'll go from there. But obviously,
Niagara Falls is off limits.
Stay out of Niagara Falls. Yeah. So I don't know. Like it's definitely tough. And the parallel continues with the Trump, because then Russia is the Cardassians stirring up shit in our politics to weaken us. So for their own devices in ways that the people that they're exploiting don't even know that it's them.
Right.
Right. So the Cardassians supplying weapons to the Circle, Jarl may or may not know, but the rank and file, the people they're fighting, have no idea that it's the Cardassians. In the same way that, you have the Russian bots and you have the information, this, that, the other thing. So the parallel is actually remarkably strong here. And that's what I was saying. Like, when I first saw this episode in 1993, I was like, oh, interesting. I don't know if I care. Today, it's like, oh, God, that's scary. Because, like, the parallels are just so clear. Anyway, so that wasn't quite a wormhole, wasn't quite not a wormhole. It's just a continuing thought process as we work through this. So let's talk about our best moment.
For me, and there's a lot of great stuff. I mean, what a strong episode. Performances, structure, tone, pacing. Really, I think they knock it out of the park here. For me, as has become kind of a little bit of a pattern, it's the little personal moments. Yeah. There's some great, I mean, you could really make a strong argument, maybe you will, for the kind of the Frank Langella kind of bad guy monologuing moments at the end, him and in the sort of like, and the villain framing at the very end. But I liked the couple of moments with Kira and Ben. I like Ben being a friend with her at the top. I like when Ben visits her on the island or at the monastery, and I like when they rescue her and they have that moment. I think all of the little Ben Sisko leadership moments are my favorite moments in this episode. Because he really has, I think he's been very kind of passive in some ways. He's been assertive in other episodes, but I think now he's finally ascended to like peak. I don't know where we're headed, of course, but it feels to me like he's now grasped his leadership and that his style is kind of like asserted. And yeah. I'm Team Ben all the way. And you know me, I was kind of wishy-washy at the top. It's tough to take over from a Picard and like a Kirk, like those kinds of personalities. Right. Like, how is this new captain going to do it? Quote unquote.
How do you distinguish yourself?
Yeah, and I think this episode he's fully ascended for me to like, okay, he's the leader, he's the guy. What's Ben gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, I would put it like he is not fully ascended, folks. Sisko what I would say is Sisko now has traction and his feet underneath him.
Okay.
In terms of the character,
That's exciting,
in terms of his leadership. He's laced up his boots, he's got his pack, he's got his water. It's time to start climbing that mountain.
Sweet. I'm on board. The
way I feel about it. Yeah, I mean, the best moment for me, it's tough because like this isn't an episode about moments. This is a huge story, this complex interwoven story of this coup happening and the stakes of it. So it's strange. I actually am going to give my favorite singular moment to the drawing room farce in Act 1 of like just the little comedic character beats that you have earned after a season of television. You have these relationships established, and it's fun and it's light and escalating and felt I just enjoyed it. Like, is that the most important moment in the story? Of course not. But I really did enjoy it. So so let's hand out some self-sealing stem bolts. We've been talking about the episode as a whole for a while, but let's keep talking.
I don't know if we know it's a trilogy in the start of the episode. I mean, you told me, but so I don't know if you knew watching.
No.
So this middle episode, it could go one of two ways, right? It could drag, and it could really kind of like get maudlin and mundane, but it doesn't do that. It's really, it moves the plot forward. I think is stronger than the table setting first episode of the arc.
Yeah,
I think the performances are much stronger, and really shows the range of the whole cast, because the stakes are much higher. Politically, personally, I think the bad guys who could be scene chewy play it so wonderfully. Two just wonderful actors that it feels grounded, and the stakes never feel out of our reach, right? They always feel right there. I think they did a great job of kind of bringing them closer. the violence closer and closer. I always feel like the only thing that feels a little hammy in both episodes is like having the circle in the robes, like attacking people and stuff. That just seems so like compared to the sort of global political ramifications of the coup attempt. It seems a little like
well, but I'll defend that with you look in real life, right? Who are these people portraying? It's, they're portraying the Klan. There's lots of like there's like Nazi references here, and a lot of that has to do with the theatrics.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, nobody is more community theater than the Klan.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, look at me, I got like customs, I'm fancy. It's so.
Jim, is that you? You sound just like Jim. I didn't think about my voice. Anyway, that's besides the point. It's just very strong, and it has that comedy beat at the top. It's got an action sequence which I think is effective. Yeah, I mean some of the how should Bashir have acted, all that stuff I shake off because it doesn't affect the episode ultimately. I think this writer, could we quote the writer again?
Yes, indeed, I can. It is, of course, Peter Allen Fields.
Peter Allen Fields.
Allen directed it.
Are just my faves so far. I mean, the duet and then this just really feels like really knows and understands the characters and really gets pacing. Episode never dragged. It had the personal slower beats when they needed them, but then right back into like action, or at least unraveling some of the spool of the I thought the visual effects were incredible. I thought the staging was incredible. I thought the use of sets and grandeur. The episode felt huge. The word I would use is cinematic. It felt like almost could have been a movie. Looked great. Did not feel like a television episode to me. It felt elevated, and I'm like, shit. If you're telling me that this is the direction we're going and it's going to get better, I'm strapping in, buddy, because
dude, you have no idea.
Then I'm telling you, because this was like, oh, this is TV. This gives me the vibes different, but like around this time I was watching a lot of Quantum Leap. And what I loved about Quantum Leap was its sort of cinematic / theatrical storytelling. Much more campy in many ways than this, but in some ways not. Anyway, I'm super psyched. I loved this episode. I'm going to say, I think we were like 72 last week. I'm going way up there. I'm saying 83.5 self-sealing stem bolts.
Yeah, I mean, in the context, that's lower than you've given a lot of episodes you've liked less. But
well, it's not there's no period at the end of the sentence, right? It has that.
That's true.
It's got to stick to the landing. So
that's true. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, if you're excited about this, like, hold on to your hat, buddy.
Yeah, dude. I'm not wearing one today, but okay.
And more specifically than this episode, this type of story, right? These bigger political, high stakes, putting your characters in difficult positions, both from a practical or moral standpoint, which is very like Star Trek, right? What's the better decision to make? But you attach life and death of like planets stakes to it, and not a planet of the week, right? That we've come across. That it is we know this planet, we know this society, we care about these people, and then this becomes very, very high stakes, and you have so yeah. Wow, man, I'm so excited to get into what is going to be essentially the rest of the series arc. But this is setting the table for a lot of that. This is we talk about last episode being a table setting episode. This arc is a table setting episode for what will become the series arc, which is really exciting. Yeah, I mean, what you said about this episode moving the plot forward in a way that the pacing, right? Last episode, it moved it forward a little bit, but the pacing was way slow. In terms of the story, we told the first 5% of the story in the first episode, and we just told like 60% in this episode. And I think I wished that the first episode were able to keep the plot pacing up a little bit. And we talked about this. Either slow it down and make the whole rescue, or give us more of this plot.
Mm-hmm.
Because once we got here, Leonalis isn't really that important anymore. At least as in this episode. We did the whole episode setting up Leonalis, and then like he's not really important. He's just sort of there for this episode. Obviously, we have more to go, but that was that. And you talk about the performances of our villains, and I think them not being seen Chewie, it comes down to restraint.
Mm-hmm.
You watch that scene with Louise Fletcher and Jaro. They almost never even move, and they're both amazing at this, but particularly Louise Fletcher. Everything she does is, look at the mic close. Everything she does is right here. I'm just going to be talking calmly and reasonably, and if you're shouting, really, maybe you're being unreasonable. With a little bit of a smirk, a little bit of a smile, but deniability in my evil at all times. And it is so good because of the restraint. And that's where you get these amazing performances. So
also subtle juxtapositions. Their behavior with each other is very politically transactional, obviously.
Very, yeah.
Well, who else do we know that's transactional? Quark. Although now that we're writing, since we have a transactional villain relationship, let's show Quark being kind of helpful. And it's maybe transactional in that he wants, maybe who's
sort of extorted.
Yeah, but at the same time, he also doesn't want this crap to come back and ruin everything he's got. So we kind of learn subtly, passively about Quark a little bit more. And so they use him great in this episode. Bashir, maybe we see some, that's what I was talking about the writing. They utilize the cast very well and very smartly with cohesion as an ensemble as well, which is really just great.
Well, and in terms of that, like transactions, the idea that I had while you were talking was the difference between Odo and Quark and Wynn and Jaro is Wynn and Jaro pretend that they care, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Quark and Odo pretend that they don't care, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the difference between your heroes and villains. And it's it's such a cool way of doing that. So I am going to give this episode 89 self-sealing stem bolts.
Oh, that's a good average. That's a good average.
I think it's very, very strong. And again, when you put it in context of what's coming later, it is very important and fun.
For the finale, you know what? I'm happy without. I'd like to see them. What I would like to see for the finale of this arc is be smarter than making it a lot of battles. I want this solved non-violently. I want to see like really smart good guying. You know what I mean? Like I want to see it handled that way. I also want to learn more about the Cardassian sort of plot, because I love that they've kept their sort of, especially with Gul Dukat, like they have a tepid friendship, or at least an agreement. And he was very much, we're releasing the prisoners. We didn't know, like blah, blah, like. So now let's dive in a little bit more. Now that we know that there's some BS happening on the other side, I want to learn more about that story. We've gotten some good slivers in the first 2 episodes of what their whole part in this is, but now I want more of it. Like let's go. It's time.
What is Russia's larger plan?
Yeah, like let's get in there. I want to, because it's interesting, and they have, they're generally pretty excellent at bad guying. So now let's get all the cards on the table from all sides and let's go for it. I have high expectations for this next episode. I'm excited.
Okay, well, up next is The Siege. It's gonna be exciting. So that we will see you next week to discuss The Siege here on Deep Space Nine. We thank our patrons at patreon.com/K&M. You can join them and get fun stuff. You can watch Mike watch The Siege. You don't want to miss that. But there we are. There are our patrons. They're way too big. Our patrons are huge.
They are, though, in our hearts and in our minds.
They are indeed. So, while we're there, check out our other show about Star Trek toys. Lots of fun stuff happening there. Give us a like.
Star Trek toys.
There it is. Give us a like and a subscribe. We very much appreciate it. Curious to hear your thoughts on this. Till then, this has been Keith and Mike. Watch Deep Space Nine. Thank you for watching K&M Entertainment. If you enjoyed our particular brand of nonsense, please like and subscribe. Or become one of our patrons at patreon.com/KNM.